Welcome again, Elaine, to the Zoom room for another Art of Letting Go live session. So we're going to have a look at today's bit of teaching related to that. It'll lead us nicely into our course lesson for today from the workbook, which is lesson 264 we're on to. And I want to do the insert before that on what is the body, which is 5 paragraphs.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's crack on with it. All right, so let me share my screen with you. Okay, so if you can read that, I'll make it a bit bigger. 125. You can read the inspirational quote, kindly.
Yeah. Though we are all incomplete, God loves us completely. Though we are imperfect, He loves us perfectly. Though we may feel lost and without compass, God's love encompasses us completely. He loves every one of us, even those who are flawed, rejected, awkward, sorrowful, or broken.
So this is by a German aviator and also religious leader, speaking of the love of God that heals all the flaws, rejection, awkwardness, sorrow, and brokenness that he mentions, because the truth is that all these imperfections simply aren't real. They aren't real, then they can be let go of. In truth, you are the pure formless awareness of perfect, or perfect means unconditional love. So a love that has no conditions, a love that never fades, that never dies, a love that's not conditional on anyone or anything happening, without opposite, and that's called God. Pure formless awareness of perfect love is called God in the traditional text of the Course and many religious traditions. As one of the earlier mind training lessons clearly states, if you can read that in the original and alternative.
There is no love but God's. There is no love but perfect love's.
So that's the only love there is. What he's saying there is quite profound, because all the other kinds of love, you love someone especially, your special partner, your special family, your special car. It's all false love. It's not the true perfect love of God. Why is this so? You might well ask. Because divine love is pure formless awareness before the universe of time and space came into seeming existence. So it's primordial reality. It's the timeless essence, or the ground of being, as it's been called by some philosophers, that underlies this physical universe of time and space. It's the very foundation onto which it's all been projected. So think of the idea of the movie screen, if we've used this analogy before. You go and you watch a movie. You couldn't watch the movie without the screen, could you?
No.
It has to have a screen to be projected onto. So in the same way, without the fundamental awareness, this timeless essence, this primordial reality, whatever you want to call it, there would be no foundation or base onto which all of the images could be projected and then experienced. So it's like a veil of illusion, a layer, a covering over. These images get projected on the screen, and then we get attached to the images. We think the images are real, even though they're changing all the time. We perceive that they're real, when in fact the truth is the screen is always there. It's just covered over by the images. Does that make sense? So that's a really good analogy, I think, to think in terms of as to why this is the case. And the images in this world just seem to crowd out, cover over, and crowd out that underlying screen, don't they? I mean, think of a movie.
Mm.
We've all sat in movies. You watch the movie for 2 hours. Do you have any awareness of the screen when you're doing that?
No,
None.
no.
But actually, what are you doing? You spend 2 hours staring at a screen. That's
Yeah,
actually what's
with
happening.
these images.
But your mind is so engaged with the images that you forget
Mm-hmm.
about the screen.
Mm.
And that's exactly what the world is. The
Mm.
mind's got so engaged with the images that it's forgotten about the underlying screen or awareness onto which the images are projected and which cover over the images. And that's the veil of illusion. It covers over that awareness. So this primordial reality, it's also called timeless essence, the ground of being, the screen I'm talking about. It's been called many things. That underlies this physical universe of time and space. So every philosopher, even scientists like Einstein and Isaac Newton, are looking for the answer. They're searching for the nature of reality.
Mm.
But you're not going to find it in the images, because the images are designed to cover over the truth of the underlying screen, which is the essence or the ground of being or primordial reality. That the images are just designed to deny. So we have to see them for what they are, let them go, and focus more on the screen, focus more on the underlying awareness and less on the images. And that process of changing our minds to do that is called at-one-ment, awakening, forgiveness. And that's what this course is designed to teach. Okay. So divine love's meaning cannot be the meaning of this screen, this absolute essence cannot be derived from an analysis of human existence, because human existence is the images. And the images deny that deeper meaning in the same way as the images cover over the screen. And you then have no awareness of the screen when you believe the images are real. So divine love's meaning comes from beyond the dilemma of human existence, which is expressed so poignantly by Shakespeare's character Hamlet in his play of the same name. So this is a direct quote from the play Hamlet, if you can read that. Quite a famous quote, actually.
Yeah. To be or not to be, that is the question. Whether 'tis nobler in the mind to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or to take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them. William Shakespeare.
To be or not to be, that is the question. I'm saying, is it nobler to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune and just go, okay, well, I'll just suffer all of these troubles, or take arms against a sea of troubles and by opposing end them? Are you going to resist them? You know, are you going to surrender, or are you going to resist? That's the question, which we all have to answer. And letting go, to suffer the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, but to let go of any sense of suffering. That's the way out. You don't get out by resisting it. You get out by letting go of the reality of it. So there is no, if you see that there really is no separate self who can suffer, you really understand that, then you can let go of all the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, because you realize there's no self here. There's no suffering. So otherwise, it wouldn't answer the dilemma, because the seeming dilemma is human existence itself. Right? So just to go back, divine love's meaning cannot be derived from analysis of human existence. So if that weren't the case, it would not answer the dilemma, because the seeming dilemma is human existence itself. You can't answer that from within human existence. It's like, well, the human dilemma is, well, why do we even exist?
Mm.
Who am I really? Is human life real? Is it meaningful? You can't really ask those questions, get any kind of honest answer from within a thought system that seeks to prove that it is. If you want to believe that human life is real and meaningful, then you will see the evidence for that. So it's not an objective opinion. It's you see what you want to see, which is the law of perception. You don't see the truth, you see what you want to see. So we're bound to receive the answer we set out to find. But does this answer really satisfy us, or will there always be some lingering doubt that we haven't been totally honest in asking the right questions until we actually ask these questions? So we talked about this 2 weeks ago. Yesha points out in the introduction to clarification of terms, you want to read that? The ego will demand many answers.
The ego will demand many answers that this course does not give. It does not recognize as questions the mere form of a question to which an answer is impossible. The ego may ask, how did the impossible occur? To what did the impossible happen? And may ask this in many forms, yet there is no answer, only an experience. Seek only this and do not let theology delay you.
And we've looked at that, a number of times, haven't we? It's like, well,
Yes.
you ask these questions, how did the impossible occur? How did the separation happen? Why did the separation happen? To what did the impossible happen? And you can ask it in many forms, but you won't get an answer within the ego's framework that's going to satisfy you. This is what he's saying. There is no answer, only an experience. When you experience something beyond the ego mind, then you know that there's something else. You see that these questions are really just designed to keep you in the dream. You keep asking these questions and you keep getting ego answers. That doesn't take you out of the system. It just entrenches that the system is real.
Mm.
So, for instance, we may ask whether another human being loves us. But this is a question asked from an extremely limited human perspective, framed in the parenthesis between birth and death that we call a human lifetime, and always subject to the fundamental law of time, which is that all things must end. So these relationships with other human beings, Yeshua calls special relationships in the Course, because they assume that both you and the other person are ontologically real. Ontology is the study of reality. What is actually real, what actually has existence. So you assume that you're real, your separate self is real. And then you try to find the answer to this question within the ego's framework of, quote, reality that the assumption miscreates. So you've gone down the rabbit hole into the system, which has a certain set of assumptions and logic, and then you try and find the answer within that construct. And of course, that's not going to work because it's a set of rules. It's a system of thought that is governed by a false premise, a false idea of separation, and the idea that you're a separate self now creates a whole lot of false rules and beliefs by which you now have to abide because that's what you believed in. And none of this is true. Fortunately, none of it's true. So we just got to realize that. If we keep asking assumptive questions that dictate a certain answer, our egos, which are nothing more than our idea of it being a separate self, seek to justify and perpetuate their existence in our minds. You keep saying, well, why did the separation happen to me? Or why do bad things always happen to me? Or why can't I find the love of my life? Or how can I find the love of my life? Yeah, these are all questions framed within the problem of separation, aren't they?
Mm-hmm.
Seeking to justify and perpetuate the self-concept. That's what the question is there for. So a far better approach would be to question assumptions themselves. So in the previous example, instead of asking whether another person really loves us, ask yourself if there really is another person that's separate from you to love or hate. That's a much better question, isn't it? Or is there really even another person, another self there? Much better question. This line of question will ultimately take you beyond the subject-object dualistic perception that characterizes this world into acceptance that there is in truth only one reality, love of God, presence, or ground of being. You can use whichever term you prefer, in which we're all united with every seeming other person and living creature, seemingly living in the physical universe. So you don't want to ask questions that perpetuate separation. You want to ask questions that undo the idea of separation in your mind. Those are good questions. Awakening questions rather than put to sleep questions. Okay, so that leads us into our discussion where we're here. So any thoughts or comments about any of that, Elaine? There's a bit of teaching here, a bit of unpacking. Does it all make sense?
Oh, it does. Very much.
Yeah. So don't ask assumptive questions that perpetuate the false
Yes.
concept. Just be willing to ask a real question. I'll say, is this even real?
Yeah, we did it.
Assuming it's real by the question, just say, is it even real? How do I know that? How do you know anything's real? So it's only your perception of it that tells you it's real. How do you really know objectively that something's real? Well, I can see it, feel it, touch it, taste it, smell it. But is that objective? Or could that just be your own mind creating that illusion, projecting it out, and then perceiving it as real? So projection makes perception, and perception reinforces projection, and around and around you go. And the question asked is, well, could all of that just be a matrix? Could that just be a thought system, a dream, a matrix, a movie that I got caught up in, which isn't reality? It's a simulated reality. Could that be the case? And I think if you're honest, you'd have to say, yeah, well, it absolutely could be. I don't know for sure that this is real. I'm just doing the best I can with what I know. All right, so that leads us nicely into the next part of this session, I think. Let's go to what is the body. So this one is section insert 5, I call it, that we're meant to read every day before the lessons, in which he answers a question. Okay. So these are good questions he's asking. So what is the body? It's not an assumptive question. It's like, what is it really? So let's go through it and unpack it, shall we?
Yeah.
So I'll read the original, you read the alternative.
Yeah.
The body is a fence the Son of God imagines he has built to separate parts of his self from other parts.
The body is a fence that extensions of perfect love imagine they have built to separate parts of their one self from other parts.
It is within this fence he thinks he lives to die as it decays and crumbles.
It is within this fence that these extensions think they live to die as their body decays and crumbles.
But within this fence, he thinks that he is safe from love.
For within this fence, they think they are safe from love.
Identifying with his safety, he regards himself as what his safety is.
Identifying with their safety, they regard themselves as what their safety is.
How else could he be certain he remains within the body, keeping love outside?
How else could they be certain that they remain within a body, keeping love outside?
Yeah, from top.
the body is a fence, the extension of perfect love, imagine they have built to separate parts of their oneself from other parts. It is within this fence these extensions think they live to die as their body decays and crumbles. Or within this fence they think they are safe from love. Identifying from their safety, they regard themselves as what their safety is.
Identifying with, identifying with their safety.
Oh, yeah.
Identifying with their safety.
Yeah, identifying with their safety, they regard themselves as what their safety is. How else could they be certain that they remain within a body, keeping love outside? So it's just saying that the body is just a fence against other parts to keep us separated from other parts, keep us away from our source and our true self, and we within the fence, these bodies will live to die, decay and crumble. So they think within this fence that they are safe from love. So identifying in the wrong, yeah.
So the ego has told us that this keeps us safe from love. So let's go into the delusion of how the body's created. I want to do this quickly. So it's worth looking at again, right? So how does this all work on a metaphysical level? We believe we're a separate self. We feel guilty for the sin of destroying God or love, pure formless awareness of perfect love. And so in order to just exist as a separate identity, we have to have guilt. We feel guilty just because we exist. And now fear is inevitable. Now I need to be punished by an imaginary God that's going to punish me for this terrible sin of destroying love, of destroying God. Even though I've destroyed it, ego being totally insane, then invites it back in this concept of a fearful, wrathful, vengeful God and says, now you're going to be punished. And so you have this false expectation of punishment appearing real, which doesn't make any sense, because if you really did destroy God, then what would be left to punish you? But then the ego doesn't make any sense. And now to cope with the fear and the guilt, you project it out, and you accuse and you blame and you attack other people who are now useful scapegoats for your guilt. So the ego literally went out of its mind. It couldn't handle the guilt and the fear. It said, can't handle this, got to run away because I'm going to be killed. I'm going to be destroyed by this vengeful God that I think is out to get me. So I'm going to run away from God into a dream world and into a body where I will be safe from love, where this can't get me. And so we invent a world and we invent these bodies to go and hide away from love in, which is what he's saying. And we think it's going to keep us safe from love because we think love's going to destroy us. But actually, it's not keeping us safe at all. It's actually making us prone to all kinds of victimization, pain, suffering, sickness, and ultimately death is going on. So is that clear, Elaine?
Yes.
You're texting. Your camera's on, by the way.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
You've got me.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. You can switch it off, but let's just.
It's not on YouTube, is it?
Yep.
Oh no.
Never mind. You're not the first person to be texting. So yeah, so that that's the delusion. That's what's going on here. And we think we're safe from love, but we're actually not at all. The body makes us actually very vulnerable, and all of the guilt and the sin and the fear and the hatred and the attack now seem to be able to come and get us in the body. So it doesn't keep us safe at all. In fact, it makes us very vulnerable and weak. And that's what he's trying to say. All right. So let's go to number 2 then, shall we? The body will not stay.
The bodies will not remain.
Yet this he sees as double safety.
Yet this they perceive as double safety.
They perceive this as double safety. For the Son of God's impermanence is proof, quote, proof his fences work and do the task his mind assigns to them.
For the extensions of perfect love, apparent impermanence is proof that their fences work and do the task their mind assigns to them.
For if his oneness still remained untouched, who could attack and who could be attacked?
If their oneness still remains untouched, who could attack and who could be attacked?
Who could be victor?
Who could be victor?
Who could be his prey?
Who could be their prey?
Who could be victim?
Who could be a victim?
Who the murderer?
Who could be the murderer be?
And if he did not die, what, quote, proof is there that God's eternal Son can be destroyed?
And if they did not die, what proof would there be that perfect love's eternal extension can be destroyed?
Hmm.
From the top.
Okay, yep, from the top.
Their bodies will not remain, yet they perceive this as doubly safety. For the extensions of perfect love's apparent impermanence is proof their fences work do the task their mind assigns to them. Or if their oneness still remains untouched, who could attack and who could be attacked? Who could be victor? Who could be their prey? Who could be a victim? Who could the murderer be? And if they did not die, what proof would there be but that perfect love's eternal extension can be destroyed?
Hmm. Yeah, so thoughts on that?
It's just again about the body and how it's not going to remain and its impermanence. There's proof that the fences don't work that are assigned to them. So,
well, it proves the fences do work. Because you're impermanent and the body dies, it's saying, okay, well, this is working to keep you separate and attacked. If there's only oneness, then how could attack be possible? In perfect oneness, there would be nothing to attack or be attacked. And who could be a victor and who could be a victim and who could be a murderer? All of these roles don't exist in perfect oneness. You see, it all collapses into the one. But the body is the symbol of the ego that seemingly proves that separation is real. Probably the most effective proof in our minds of separation is the body. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I must be separate because look, I live in a separate body. And I'm separate from that body and all other bodies. So I must be separate because I've got a body that's separate.
Mm.
It's the best evidence and proof of separation the ego could invent, which is why it's invented a body. Why did it put us into these separate bodies? Because it wanted to believe it was separate. That's why. Then you start going, aha, I see. Why is the world the way it is? Why is it set up with all these bodies running around? Because that's the way the ego designed it. But oneness just undoes all that. If only oneness is true, then you couldn't have bodies. It wouldn't be possible to have separate forms in perfect oneness. which is why it's pure and formless, pure formless awareness of perfect love is heaven, totally beyond the realm of form. Okay, so let's carry on with contemplating the body. So number 3, the body is a dream.
The body is a dream.
Like other dreams, it sometimes seems to picture happiness, but can quite suddenly revert to fear where every dream is born.
Like other dreams, it sometimes seems to picture happiness, but can quite suddenly revert to fear where every dream is born.
For only love creates in truth, and truth can never fear.
For only love extends in truth, and truth can never fear.
Made to be fearful, must the body serve the purpose given it.
Made to be fearful, the body must serve the purpose given it.
But we can change the purpose that the body will obey by changing what we think that it is for.
But I can change the purpose that the body will obey by changing what I think of it is for. And the body is a dream. Like other dreams, it sometimes seems to picture happiness, but not quite suddenly revert to fear where every dream is born. For only love extends in truth, and truth can never fear. Maybe to be fearful, the body must serve their purpose given it, but I can change the purpose that the body will obey by changing what I think of it. Just saying that the body's just not real, it's a dream, like other dreams. It can appear to have happiness, but then it can soon go to fear, and everywhere the dream is born. Whereas the love extends the truth, and the truth would never fears.
And this is key. I can change the purpose of the body. So although the body is not made by the Holy Spirit, it has nothing to do with God, the Holy Spirit can reinterpret the body and give it a different purpose. Instead of the purpose of keeping you in this little fence and separated from all your brothers and prone to victimization and suffering and death. That's the ego's purpose for the body. It can give it another purpose. And that's the change of mind that this course is trying to facilitate. You can use the body for awakening. The body can help you to learn the lessons you need to learn while you're here, to free your mind from the delusion of being a separate self. And it's really its only purpose. And that's what he's saying. I can change the purpose that the body will obey by changing what I think it is for. Just have to change its purpose. Say, okay, the body is not to victimize me and make me suffer. The body is not for pleasure either. The body is not for pleasure. It's not for pain. It's not for procreation. It's not for sex. It's not for adorning with all kinds of jewelry and fancy clothes, and none of that. That's not its purpose. Its purpose is to help me to awaken my mind from the delusion that I'm a separate self. That's the body's only purpose. So let me use the body for that purpose, and now it has a holy purpose, a true purpose, which will serve me well while I'm here. So very simple idea, but very profound. To repurpose the body is to profoundly change what you think it's for. You think of how people, we were talking, in our discussion about how people misuse the body, overeating, over drinking, seeking pleasure through the body, all of the, plastic surgery. I had a meeting the other day with a fairly youngish girl, actually. And her lips were just enormous. I'm going, my God, like how much Botox is in there? It's just like these massive bulbous lips. So what do you think the body is for then? If you do that, you're thinking that then the body is to show, that I'm attractive, and so I'm going to do plastic surgery. I'm going to make it look good. I'm going to wear things. It's a false purpose. That's not what the body's for. I want to, attract someone of the same sex or the opposite sex. I want to get pleasure through the body. I want to get kudos. All a false purpose. Then the body is the false idol, and it just perpetuates the dream of being a separate self. But if you repurpose it and say the only purpose of the body is to help me awaken from the dream that I'm a separate self, it now has a very different purpose. You're not going to engage in any of that nonsense, are you? That's just ridiculous. Like, why do I want to go stick? If I'm not a body, my only job is to learn that I'm a mind. Why would I possibly want to stick Botox into my face? It makes no sense then, does it?
No.
Because it doesn't align with your true purpose. So, well, that's just pointless, because that's not the body is not for that purpose. I don't care what the body really looks like, because it's actually about using the body to help awaken my mind. So I'm not going to get engaged in all these body fantasies that people engage in, which are, billion-dollar industries. These delusions.
So in the last 40 years, really,
industry.
last 40 years, it's all gone a bit crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about, American culture and so on, and it started losing its way in the 50s. It's all part of it. Who invented plastic surgery? The Americans did.
Yeah.
Probably. Well, it was certainly marketed and, became a big thing there, no doubt, because it's all about what? Attachment to form, to the body. Oh, you just nip and tuck and tweak and do all this stuff, and then you'll have a better image. Your body will be better, and then you'll be better. And that's people spend thousands and thousands of dollars on this stuff because they're falsely identifying themselves as a body. But you're not a body. You never were a body. And no amount of plastic surgery is going to help you to stay young and stop you dying. It's not going to work.
No.
So it's
the trouble is, it's fairly obvious that they've had it done as well. So
no, I think it looks terrible. It's like, well, I mean, it's so unnatural. These like giant-sized puffer lips. I mean, like some kind of, blow-up doll or something. It's just ridiculous. Like it looks so unnatural.
Yeah.
And yet the ego is telling them this looks good. Go spend thousands on this because it looks good, and that's going to big you up. It's going to enhance your separate self-concept attached to the body. That's how these industries sell. Oh, this is going to make you look better, sexier, more attractive, younger, and so on. But what you do when you do that is you falsely identify yourself as a body by definition. So it's like, that's just ridiculous. That's not your purpose. And so all of these delusions would just go. If people just read this lesson and they understood it, they'd stop, wouldn't they? Plastic surgery would disappear. People would just go, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to do that.
I just think the last sort of 50 years or whatever, it's just really gone a bit more crazy. It's more crazy.
Yeah, I think what's happened is the insanity of the ego is hyped up.
Yeah.
It's got even more crazy. And then to counter that, there's been this awakening, and more people are waking up and saying, well, like, what part of your mind can't see the craziness? I mean, are we all totally stupid and we can't see that this doesn't really make sense, and it's actually quite insane, and it doesn't really work to do anything other than generate a lot of money for the people who providing these services. But does it actually bring happiness? Does it bring peace? Does it bring sanity to people? No. Is this a good allocation of resources in society? I mean, when there's people starving and hunger, and why are we spending billions on Botox? I mean, it's just bizarre. Like, what a misallocation of resource. So you can look like a bloated puffer fish.
It is.
Well, why are we consuming excess calories, just feeding our faces to like the point where we're so obese we can hardly walk, and our health is suffering? I mean, what's the point of that? The body, it's you're misusing the body, and it all comes down to the purpose you give it. So I'm giving these examples because you see how this plays out in the world. It's not just theoretical what he's saying here. It plays out in these worldly delusions that cause all kinds of problems, and billion-dollar industries and all this happened because of delusions in the mind.
And basically the last 50 years, basically.
Yeah, I think in the last 50, 60 years, since, as I said, the advent of television in the 50s in the US, and then got adopted worldwide, has been the rise of consumerism. And it's all about what can I get? Materially, it's about the body, what's for the body's pleasure and comfort and security. And we get sold these illusions. If you watch TV, you get sold this all the time.
Mm.
And so then the mind believes it. The mind starts buying the lies. TV, television. It tells you your vision. It tells you your vision of life, doesn't it? That's why it's called television. It's in the name. Okay, so now something else outside of me is telling me my vision of life. Well, is that a clever thing to do? You're giving away your power to whoever's controlling the television then. Who's behind it? Well, broadcasting companies, media, who chooses what programming you see? Who puts out the content, the news, Nowadays you've got more choice with YouTube and stuff. So you can select what you want to watch, and as a result, there's been more freedom. There's been more of an awakening because people are choosing. They don't necessarily just have to watch the standard news and the standard programs fed to them by the one TV station. They can choose what they want to watch, and so people are exercising that choice, and then awakening is happening in amongst us, because the insanity of it is crazy. Interestingly, I mean, there was a movie called Fight Club. I don't know if you ever watched it. There's a scene came to me. Did you watch it with Brad Pitt?
I'm not sure. I don't think so. Don't think so.
So really, really interesting story. It's actually about a guy who's schizophrenic, but he's kind of got a split mind, and he's having a conversation with his alter ego. So Brad Pitt is this really cool guy who starts this fight club, and all these young men who are feeling unhappy and want to get their aggression out come to Fight Club, and they fight each other. But there's a conversation there where he says, what really concerns me is not world wars and unemployment and suffering and all this kind of stuff. It's all the plastic world, and he lists it's the fact that I've got a brand name on my underpants, and some guy's trying to sell me deodorant and on the TV, and that's what really is disturbing. Really a critique of modern society, saying, well, what is this? These are just illusions that we believe in, all related to the body and its comfort and its pleasure and avoiding pain. But there's nothing integrous, there's nothing authentic to it. And I suppose the idea of the Fight Club was, well, okay, although it was violent, it got kind of back to basics. It was like we actually are allowed to feel and express that emotion. So it was attractive to the guys who came, because they could actually express the anger and the frustration that they felt and get it out. Anyway, that's just an aside. So let's carry on. I know you have to go soon. Body is the means by which God's Son returns to sanity.
The body is the means by which perfect love's extensions return to sanity.
Though it was made to fence him into hell without escape, yet has the goal of heaven been exchanged for the pursuit of hell.
Although it was made to fence them into victimhood and suffering without a hope of escape, the goal of pure formless awareness has still been exchanged for the pursuit of victimhood and the suffering this inevitably brings.
Yeah, so hell is victimhood and suffering. The Son of God extends his hand to reach his brother and to help him walk along the road with him.
The extensions of perfect love extend their awareness to reach and help each other walk the path of awakening.
Now is the body holy.
Now the body is innocent.
Now it serves to heal the mind that it was made to kill.
Now it serves to heal the mind that was made to kill. From the top, the body is the means by which the perfect love's extensions return to sanity, although it was made to fence them into victimhood and suffering without a hope of escape. The goal of pure formless awareness has still been exchanged for the pursuit of victimhood and the suffering the inevitable brings. The extensions of perfect love extend their awareness to reach and help each other walk the path of awakening. Now the body is innocent. Now it serves to heal the mind that it was made to kill. So it's just giving just what the body's actually for. It's a means by which perfect love extends and returns to sanity, and then the extensions of perfect love extend their awareness to reach and help each other on the path to awakening. And now, after we've done what it's meant to be there for, is then innocent, and that's then when it can serve to heal the mind rather than it was made to kill.
105.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a profound repurposing of the body from the purpose of the ego, which is victimhood and suffering and pain and death, to the purpose of awakening. Now it's about healing the mind that the body was actually made to kill. Profound change of mind, change of purpose, which then reflects in the body. There's no doubt it reflects in the body. You know, the purpose the mind holds is then shown in the body. And you do see that. If people are very egoic, that shows up in the body, and you see just the way they look, the way they act, the way they are, and also in terms of their health. It's reflected in the body. And if someone is in the spirit, you see that too. You know, look at take again, you know, we're talking about the characters in the dream. So take an egoic type character like Donald Trump in his 70s, compare that to Eckhart Tolle. Also, Eckhart's about 75 now, I think. So similar kind of age.
Yeah.
Compare the two.
There's no comparison.
Yeah, I mean, well, it's a very different energy. You get a very different feeling, energy. The person's body looks very different. You know, and because you can see that the way the mind is then affects how the body presents itself. And the more people, you know, if people get very negative, they get very contracted, very tight, and you see that, you know, in the face as they get older. It's kind of these entrenched. There's a hardness, isn't there?
Yes.
In the face. And what I love about people when they get older, if they awakening. Look at an Eckhart Tolle or Byron Katie. There's just such a lovely presence shining through. It's like you know, this kind of radiance shining through. So even though like Byron Katie's now 80, I saw a picture of it. It's just such a beautiful presence. You know, yes, her hair's gray, she's got a few wrinkles, but there's a shining through of the presence.
Yeah.
As opposed to this very narrow, you know, dark, contracted, which is what happens to a lot of people when they get to that age.
Yeah, they do. Like Wayne Dyer, he was the same. I mean, I know he's passed away now, but he had that nice glow about him in his 70s.
Like you know, so you age naturally and gracefully. Surely that's a whole lot preferable to sticking Botox and trying to, right, let's try and bake it and keep all of our wrinkles away. So that we what are you trying to do? What, trying to preserve the body in its youthful state forever? Which is never going to work anyway. And it starts looking ridiculous. If you're 70 and you don't have any wrinkles, it looks crazy. It's like, what?
Yeah.
This plastic stretched face, you look like some kind of blow-up doll. Madness, really. But then the body then takes on the delusion of the mind, and you see that reflected in the body. Whereas if you know, Yeshua's advice on health is just the body is really just given for the purposes of awakening, and the body is nothing. It doesn't really mean anything. Its needs are met on a basic level by the Holy Spirit, but nothing else. There's no emphasis on it. And then he says it'll be fit and it'll be healthy and it'll be functional, and it'll serve you well. And you don't need to really worry too much about it. And that's large. My experience has been, largely, there's some body maintenance still goes on. You still wash, exercise every now and then. A few of those, to brush your teeth. Yeah, okay, sure, do that, but without attachment. But there's no like, oh, I need to like now fix my body. I need to make it younger. I'm concerned about this. I need to start tweaking it. I need to, prevent aging. I mean, just all of that just doesn't matter. Who cares? Because I'm not a body. And that's so freeing. And then paradoxically, you actually look younger. If you're in the spirit, it keeps the body from the inside out younger in a way that none of these these fake false idols can do. Botox and cosmetics and whatever can't do that, because we're talking about the very essence of life here, that gives you any kind of life that's strengthened, and then that radiates to all the cells of the body, and the body doesn't age as fast. It stays younger and more vigorous. Now I'm in my 50s now. I don't look it. Most people think I look 10 to 15 years younger. Well, why? Well, I'd like to think it's because the spirit is coming through, and it's enlivening the body to do the work of the spirit. Without an emphasis on the body. It just, the body's just a useful tool. Okay, so off we go again. Let's do number 5. You will identify with what you think will make you safe.
I will identify with what I think will make me safe.
Or whatever it may be, you will believe that it is one with you.
Whatever it may be, I will believe that it is one with me.
Your safety lies in truth and not in lies.
My safety lies in truth and not in lies.
Love is your safety.
Love is my safety.
Fear does not exist.
Fear does not exist.
Identify with love and you are safe.
When I identify with love, I am safe.
Identify with love and you are home.
When I identify with love, I am home.
Identify with love and find yourself.
And when I identify with love, I find myself. On the top, I will identify with what I think will make me safe, whatever it may be. I will believe that it is one with me. My safety lies in truth and not in lies. Love is my safety. Fear does not exist. When I identify with love, I am safe. When I identify with love, I am home. And when I identify with love, I find myself, my true self. It's just whatever, it's just saying whatever we identify with, and if we identify with love, then we are safe, we're home, and we're free, really, and fear just doesn't exist. So it's love is the safety, and this lies in the truth and not in lies.
Yeah, you find it all in love. Everything you want, everything you need is there if you identify with love and love alone, and you don't engage in false idols. And then the body serves the purpose of that loving awareness. The body is given to love, and then the body is fine. It's okay. You don't need to destroy it. You don't need to attack it. You don't need to beautify it. Do any of that stuff that people engage in. You just let it serve the purpose of love. That's what it's for. And then it becomes a healthy, functional instrument until its time is done. It's obviously not going to last forever, because it's a form. It's made by the ego. So it will go. But that's to be celebrated. Would you really want to hang around in a body for forever? Of course you wouldn't. If you're pure formless awareness of perfect love, freedom from the body is the ultimate goal. So when the body goes, that's graduation day. That's to be celebrated, not to be feared. Provided you've done your work, then you collapse the dream of being a false self, and you never have to come back here again. That's graduation day. So let the body serve that purpose of your awakening. So finally, when the body goes, you lay it aside, you die, in other words, then there's no need for another body. You don't need to now have another one reincarnate and come back and do it all over again. Because the delusion of being a separate self that creates that is gone. You're free. And you've used the body to serve that holy purpose in your final lifetime in a body. And that's what the Course is suggesting we do with our bodies and our time here in the bodies. Okay, so have we got time to do the lesson? It's 2 paragraphs, isn't it? You want to do it?
Oh, it's 4:20. I'm going to end up missing my course. Yeah, do you mind? Because I don't.
It'll probably take about 10 minutes to do the lesson.
Yeah, no, I'm going to, because I've got all the dogs to feed. So do you mind? I'm going to shoot off because I just don't want to fall on this, because it finishes on the 24th, so it's not long. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. Yeah.
All right then. Well, I'll see you Monday.
See you Monday. Yeah. Yeah. Have a lovely weekend. Yeah. Namaste.
Okay. Bye.
Bye. Bye.
All right. So let's just do lesson 264 quickly to wrap up the session. So lesson 264 is I'm surrounded by the love of God, original, and then alternative is I'm surrounded by the pure formless awareness of perfect love as an alternative version of that. So the love of God is just pure formless awareness of perfect love. And that awareness is everywhere. It's the screen, to use the analogy I quoted earlier. It's the screen onto which all the images are projected that lies in the background. Without the screen, without this awareness, there would be no world. If you're watching a movie, you need the screen to project the images onto, to bring that experience into being. And what happens is we just get consumed with the images and we forget about the screen. So that's exactly what's happened in our lives in this world. We got consumed with the images, that's the bodies and all the characters and happenings of the world. And we've forgotten that it's all projected onto a screen of awareness, which is this pure formless awareness of perfect love, the ground of being, it's also being called. It's foundational awareness. It's the screen that never changes. It doesn't matter what images are projected onto a movie screen. It doesn't change the screen at all. And when the images stop projecting, then the screen remains as it always was. So in a similar way, the pure formless awareness of perfect love is unaffected by any of the images that cover it over. And when they're gone, then what's left is the screen, as it always was. It hasn't really changed at all. You sit for 2 hours in a movie theater watching a movie. What are you really doing? You're staring at a screen for 2 hours. Your mind doesn't think that. Your mind is totally consumed with the images, but actually what you're really doing is just staring at a screen. And the images are then just given a meaning by your mind. And that's how it works in the so-called reality. It's just instead of a flat screen, instead of flat images, it's happening in 4D, 3 dimensions of time, of space and then time. So it's playing out in sequence to make the movie make sense. Okay, so with that said, let's go into the lesson, prayer. Father, you stand before me and beside me in the place I see myself and everywhere I go. So translated, this is my source. You stand before, beside, and behold me in the place I perceive myself and everywhere I go. You are in all the things I look upon, the sounds I hear, and every hand that reaches for my own. In you, time disappears and place becomes a meaningless belief. What surrounds your sun, your extension in alternative language, and it keeps it safe is love itself. Keeps him safe is love itself. Okay, so there is no source but this, and nothing is that does not share its holiness or its pure formless awareness in alternative language. Holiness is pure formless awareness. That stands beyond your one creation or without the love which holds all things within itself. That stands beyond your one extension or without the love that holds all things within itself. I'm going to change one extension to being. Stands beyond your being without the love that holds all things within itself. Okay, so in this beingness, in this love, there is one self, one reality that unites us all. Father, your son is like yourself. My source, your extension, is like yourself. In alternative language, we come to you in your own name today to be at peace within your everlasting love. I come to you in your own identity today to be at peace within your eternal love. So it's really a coming home to this eternal love. So from the top, my source, you stand before, beside, and behind me, in the place I perceive myself and everywhere I go. You are in all the things I look upon, the sounds I hear, and every hand that reaches for my own. Change that to perceive. All the things I perceive, the sounds I hear, and every hand that reaches for my own. In you, time disappears and place becomes a meaningless belief. For what surrounds your extension and keeps it safe is love itself. There is no source but this, and nothing is that does not share its pure formless awareness. For it stands beyond your being, or without the love that holds all things within itself. My source, your extension, is like yourself. I come to you in your own identity today to be at peace within your eternal love. So really just an affirmation. It's an intention that we're setting, and we're calling on our own higher awareness. Prayer is just reminding ourselves of our true awareness and activating that awareness through the prayer. We're really talking to our own innermost awareness, our own true awareness when we pray. It's not God outside of us. It's our own awareness, and it's just a process. Prayer is another technique for accessing that awareness and activating, getting that awareness to arise quite strongly in our minds. Okay, so my brothers, join with me in this today. This is salvation's prayer. Must we not join in what will save the world along with us? So I join with Yeshua in this today. This is awakening's prayer. And should I not join in what will awaken the world along with me? So, saying this is the prayer of awakening, and join Yeshua in this great awakening. He's inviting us into with these lessons. Should I not join in what will awaken the world along with me? It's a question we all have to ask and answer for ourselves. But I hope if you're listening to this, that you'll make the right choice to awaken. So what else is there to do in this world? So that brings us to the end of the session. Just quickly to wrap it up, if you liked what you heard, you can subscribe to the channel, hit the subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. And you'll be notified whenever I go live, which is 3 or 4 times a week. If you'd like to get access to these live sessions, go to lifebuild.com. You can see that spelling of lifebuild in the background, lifebuild.com, and sign up there to our Telegram group. So I send out a daily inspirational quote along with some teaching around that. You saw that earlier in the session. It was on email, but I sent it on Telegram. It's just easier to get it through. And a daily lesson from Course in Miracles, adapted in an alternative language. You'll also get access to a section of the text so that you can learn the theory, and translate it into alternative language to make it easier to understand. I send out breath breaks and many meditations and meditations to help you practice the lesson, and you'll be notified whenever I go live in advance, so you can join these live sessions in Zoom if you would like to. So lifebuild.com, sign up, and I hope to catch you on the inside of the group. You will need Telegram installed on your phone or mobile device to access that. So it's easy enough. You can just download Telegram from Google Play Store or the App Store. And I hope to see you in one of these sessions soon. So that's it from me for now. Thank you for listening and watching. Thank you to Elaine for joining. And I hope to catch you on the inside soon. Namaste. Which means my true self honors that same true self in you. I'm wishing you much love, peace, and joy in that self. See you next week.